Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of voice of radio. So today, I am bringing you a new Pokémon V that frankly looks a little bit broken. It looks a little bit too good, and I think we are going to be seeing a lot of this as we go through the next couple years. Weirdly enough, it's Crabominable. It's not really a Pokemon that has ever seen a lot of love in the Pokemon TCG. This is the first time it's ever had any kind of chase card or special card since it started off in the Sun and Moon base set. But that doesn't really matter, because this one is gonna make a difference. Now, this is one of the ones that has been revealed in Chinese, so shout out to both the lovely Primal Lugia and the lovely Tunu1223 for hooking us up with the translation here. So what have we got? Well, we start off with 220 HP, which is absolutely standard and normal for a Pokemon V. That is exactly what we would expect. And you got a retreat cost of 4, which is honestly just high, and we've lost all those cards that help us out with high retreat costs, so that's a little bit sad. And you got a weakness to metal, which honestly isn't really a problem. Your biggest issue is Zacian, and that's getting a one-hit KO anyway, so don't worry about it. But you are a water Pokemon, and being a water Pokemon is awesome. Now, since Welder rotated, or is about to rotate, Fire decks aren't as good. So hitting for weakness isn't really what we're looking at here. What we are looking at here is that all of a sudden we can use Frostmoth. And Frostmoth will allow us to attach as much water energy as we like from our hand to our bench water Pokemon. Or we can look at Frostlass, which lets us attach a water energy from our discard pile to one of our Pokemon when we evolve into it. Obviously, you want to use Scoop Up Net to reuse that. And it can be to any Pokemon, but it's water energy, and that's important. And we've got Melanie that lets you attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon V and then draw 3 cards. All good ways to accelerate water energy, all needed. Honestly, Crabominable's attacks are good, but it's the fact that it's a water Pokemon that can get the energy so gosh darn quickly and easily that makes it, in my opinion, absolutely top tier. So the first attack here is actually not why we're playing it, but it's a handy bonus. Single water energy, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Now, in terms of a milling deck, this isn't really going to do it, right? This is not going to lead you to victory by discarding your opponent's entire deck and winning because they're unable to draw a card to begin their turn. We've got other cards around to do a little bit of milling here and there, but I'm going to be honest with you, we don't have great milling options at the moment. Now, to be fair, the other day I did show you that for Alligator, which is literally a reprint of the Berserk for Alligator. But honestly, if you're going to be going for a milling deck, then you're better off using that for Alligator with the Toxtricity that has basically the same thing, but as an attack, and going there. I don't think this is an attack where you're going to win the game by milling your opponent as your primary strategy. But I think it absolutely is an attack that is going to win you the odd game here and there. Your opponent knows you've got this attack, so your opponent always has to be ready. Your opponent always has to be prepared, so that if you ever get to the stage where you've got 1 or 2 cards left in your deck, your opponent can just Crabominable and win the game. And that's the point here. No, this is not a phenomenal attack. No, it's not going to win the game by itself. But you had better believe it is absolutely going to be a super handy bonus. And if you're playing Crabominable, I can pretty much guarantee that there will be a bunch of games where your opponent stops paying attention for just a moment, and then you discard the last 1 or 2 cards in their deck and win the game. Not a reason to play it. I really don't think it is a reason to play it, but I absolutely do think that it is a very, very good bonus and something that is going to win you games if you're playing it anyway. So what is the reason to play it? The reason to play it is the second attack. For just 3 water energy, you do 90 damage base, which is fairly high, plus 60 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. And to put it bluntly, this adds up super, super quickly. And maybe in other formats this wouldn't be a very good attack, but in the format we're in, this is a very, very good attack indeed. So essentially what we've got here, I'm looking at 2 damage counters. After 2 damage counters, we are doing 90 plus 120 is 210, but remember they've already got 2 damage counters on, so that puts them up to 230, and that's basically every Pokemon V down. There's the odd one here or there that's got a ridiculous amount of HP like Wailord, but they don't see a huge amount of play. They're not terribly relevant. We're not going to worry about them. Essentially, if I can get 2 damage counters on my opponent's Pokemon, then I'm getting a one-hit KO here. Well, I mean, essentially a one-hit KO, yeah? Put the 2 damage counters, then KO, and at that point, I'm basically winning the game and life is good. And getting 2 damage counters down is like stupidly easy. Now, I suppose we need to start with the obvious one here, and the obvious one here is Inteleon. We have already moved into a format where Inteleon stuff is probably the best deck in the game, or at least right up there as proper job tier 1. It's got an ability that lets you drop 2 damage counts on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Most people evolve up naturally, just going through the basic stage 1, stage 2, because you don't have to muck around with stuff like Rare Candy, and also because we've got that amazing Drizzile that will allow you to search for a trainer card when you evolve up into it, which is obviously a really, really huge bonus. Don't forget, we have got Mustard, and Mustard will allow you to essentially just play this from your discard pile as if it were a basic Pokemon, and then draw 5 cards as long as it's the only card in your hand. It's generally not being played with Rapid Strike Star Mustard at the moment, but the point is it could be, and that's very, very important indeed. So that's pretty gosh darn good. And then you got the 2 damage counters on, then you're essentially hitting 230 in one go, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely it. Now, that's not a perfect situation. I mean, one thing we probably need to mention here is Fusion Energy. Fusion Strike Energy. Fusion Strike Energy is going to be pretty big because it's a Rainbow Energy, blah, blah, blah. But you prevent all effects of your opponent's abilities done to this Pokemon this card is attached to. I.e., if you've got Fusion Strike Energy on a Pokemon, they are immune to Inteleon. I don't think that is absolutely the end of Crabominable V, but it is worth pointing out. Incidentally, while we're talking abilities, you absolutely can be using Galarian Zigzagoon with Scoop Up Net, and that will allow you to drop damage counters pretty easily. And if you're using Frostlass anyway, you're probably playing Scoop Up Net, so one to bear in mind, those are the 2 abilities. If you don't want to use an ability, and I can't necessarily blame you if you don't, Noivern V. Noivern V is a really good option here. For a single Psychic Energy, you deal 20 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, I know this is for a Psychic Energy. It's not for a Water Energy, so that does mean you need to be mucking about with energy, and I understand that entirely. But, by the same token, it's also a basic Pokemon with free retreat that just spreads 20. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for here. Because I go second, turn 1, I start spreading 20, I do this for a turn or 2, and then essentially Crabominable can sweep and KO anything. We'll get onto VMAX numbers in a moment, but even when your opponent VMAXes, you still basically win the game. And that's kind of my point here, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of my point. Yes, Inteleon is the best way to play this. I'm not going to argue otherwise. But don't think it's the only way. Any spreading attack can actually go around things like Fusion Strike Energy, and I think Noivern V has a good chance to be what we're looking for here. Now, the other issue is we need to get the energy on, but I am not worried about the energy even a little bit, because you've got Frostmoth, which will work, and you've got Frostlass that'll work, and you've got Melanie that'll work. So I am honestly not even a little bit worried here. The energy is not concerning to me at all. I am absolutely sure I'll be able to get the energy on. The only real question is whether this is better than Sableye V. Because obviously a bunch of you probably realised when I first showed you this card that the attack here is extremely similar to Sableye V, and we've had Sableye V for a moment. What's the difference? Sableye V, incidentally, is 10 damage base plus 60 for the damage for 2 Darkness Energy. And I know some people are going to disagree, and that's absolutely fine, but there is a reason why Sableye V has not seen a huge amount of play even after Inteleon came out. I don't think it's a competition. Because let's say you use Inteleon to drop 2 damage counters. Well, I've already told you Crabominable at that point's doing 210, plus the 20 damage is 230, and that's a KO basically on any Pokemon V. With 2 damage counters, Sableye is hitting 130. With the 2 you've already put down is 150. That is nowhere near getting it 70 away from Pokemon V. You need basically 3 damage counters, at which point you'll be hitting 190. With the 3 already on them goes up to 220. It's not good enough, quite frankly. It is not good enough. And also, I don't like the energy on Sableye. I know Crabominable takes an extra energy, but if you're getting the energy with Sableye, you're looking at playing something like Raihan as a supporter, which will allow you to attach an extra energy, and will then let you search for any one card. The thing is, you have to play the supporter, and it only works if one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, so your opponent can basically wait, and then let you have access to Raihan at the least opportune moment. So I don't like having it in my... Or I suppose you can try and hit heads on a Turbo Patch, but I've played a bunch of Sableye decks relying on Turbo Patch, and basically it doesn't work because you bent Sableye, and if you don't hit heads on Turbo Patch this turn, it will be gusted and KO'd. So I'm sorry, but the energy on Sableye is too awkward, the damage count is too low, and actually you've got 50 less HP, and that's pretty relevant as well. I don't think Sableye and Crabominable is a fair comparison. I think Crabominable is a billion times better. In terms of Pokemon V Max, we generally need to hit somewhere between 320 and 340. It's 4 damage counters. 4 damage counters is 240. Add the 90 base is 330, and then they've got 4 on there, so that's 370. Only 3 damage counters is 180, plus 90 for the base is 270. Add the 3 that's on there is 300. It's not enough, so you're looking for 4 damage counters, but 4 damage counters is 2 Inteleon, or an Inteleon, a Galarian Zigzagoon, and a Scoop Up Net, or 2 attacks with Noivern. It's not actually that much. We can do it. Conversely, if we go back to Sableye for a moment, if I put 4 damage counters on with Sableye, I'm hitting 250. Add the 40 that's already on there is 290. So I'm going to need a 5th damage counter in order to get a 1-hit KO on V Maxes. And that's a 3rd stage 2 Inteleon, or a 2nd Scoop Up Net with a Galarian Zigzagoon. It's just asking to fall short. So no, I don't think you can just play Sableye instead. The energy is far more awkward to get on. The number of damage counters you need is annoyingly more, and you got 50 less HP. Sorry, I've sat down, I've had a good old think about it, I've run the numbers. I don't think Sableye is a fair comparison here. I think this is much better than Sableye. It's a 5 Wussy card. And if you don't think you are going to see a bunch of Inteleon Crabominable decks, I think you might need to readjust your expectations, to put it nicely. I think this is a proper top-tier card. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.